Bonsoir tout le monde. Good evening, Ani, and welcome to our regular meeting of council. I'd like to welcome everybody. Because I'm in Ottawa, I'm going to turn over the handling of the meeting to our wonderful Deputy Mayor, Renee. So Renee, take the imaginary gavel over. Oh no, you got the real one there.
I have none.
Oh, you have none. Oh, well.
My hands.
Okay.
No, two. Adoption of the agenda. Has everybody had a chance to look over the agenda? Does anybody have any additions to be made? Seeing none, I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Dave, seconded by Bob. All in favor? Okay. Good. Need a Mel, are you reading resolution or?
Oh, I thought you had already adopted it. It's okay.
Yeah.
So duly moved in second of yours, all the agenda be adopted as presented.
Oh, all in favor? I skipped that part. I see. Disclosure of pecuniary interest. Does anybody have any to declare? Seeing none, we will continue. I don't believe we have any delegation tonight. So we will continue on. So reports and items for consideration, 5.1, general governance, 5.1.1. Our CAO, Mark, will do the update on COVID-19.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hopefully this is soon to be a thing of the past in terms of reports, but I'll give council and the members of the viewing public just a brief overview of where we're at. As everybody knows, we're now entered into step 2 of the roadmap for reopening within the province. So a couple key points is outdoor social gatherings and organized public events are limited to 25, and indoor social gatherings are not permitted, and organized public events indoors are not permitted up to 5 people in stage 2. The other point of note that affects some of the municipalities is organized sports can now use the fields with no limited numbers. And thanks to Bob and his staff, they were quick to prepare the ball fields for the ball leagues to start up. I'm not sure if they have or not, but the maintenance and upkeep has been done. Those are some of the key points. And if anybody has any questions or wish to get any more clarification, they're more than welcome to visit the provincial website. There's a lot of information on our website and on the Sudbury District Health Unit website, or you can call our offices. Most of the receptionists and staff here have all of the information at their disposal. In terms of vaccination clinics, tomorrow is the upcoming vaccination clinic in Albin. There are 438 vaccines. 354 have been set aside for appointments. There still remains about 30 spots for appointments for tomorrow. For those listening or those who are aware of people looking for appointments, it's the Pfizer vaccine that's being offered tomorrow. There's also an additional 84 doses available between 9:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. for walk-in clinics. Walk-in clinics will be decided on a weekly basis, and the upcoming clinics will be in St. Charles on July 15th, in Albin July 22nd, in St. Charles July 29th, in August 5th at the Albin Community Center once more. Again, all the information is readily available at the Sudbury District Health Unit websites, and all the links are available through our municipal websites as well. And again, feel free to call the municipality if we can direct you, provide you with the proper information. We'd be happy to do so. Madam Chair, that's basically the general update. Maybe one final thing specific to the Sudbury East communities. We are currently with first dosage percentages about 65%, second dose percentages in and around 40%. So we're slowly making our way up. And the other decision that was made at the implementation committee is they're trying to organize some small pop-up clinics in the community of Killarney and the community of Marks Day to try to address some of the traveling issues that they're having within those districts. So stay tuned for more information. Thank you very much.
Anybody have any questions for Mark? Okay, seeing none, we will continue. 5.1.2, the quarterly report. Mel, our clerk, will give us the second quarterly report.
Thank you. So through you, Madam Chair. So my report is included in the package, but I would like to take this opportunity to present some highlights as it pertains to planning. Every other aspects of my report is very comparable to other years or other quarters. But for planning, so planning and development activities have been very busy in our area. Each application is circulated to our staff to ensure applicable pre-consultation and an opportunity for comments for proper land use planning within our municipality. When applications are received, I review each application to provide the planner with applicable conditions to be added that the applicant will be subject to when fulfilling, to fulfill before the applicant gets final approval from the planner or the board. The following table that is in the report highlights the consistent increase in applications received since 2008. So we've received, so just to compare, in 2018, we received 3 applications for planning. So whether for consent, for zoning bylaw, or for deeming. So in 2018, there was 3, 2019, 11, 2020, again, 11, and 13 already in 2021 in the same quarter. So it's just to show the consistent increase in planning, even though COVID, sometimes there's other things that have slowed down with COVID, or that COVID affected things, but it has not affected planning and development in our area anyway. Or I'm pretty sure in Sudbury East as well. Also, one more thing that I would like to mention is we had received, so council had adopted a zoning bylaw in 2020 for the former property that we used to own that was known as the industrial park. So that property was sold and the applicant had applied for rezoning so that property was zoned commercial highway, but it had a special provision that only allowed certain uses within that zoning. So the applicant had rezoned to be able to have all the permitted uses within the commercial highway zone. So council had adopted that rezoning application, but it was appealed within the correct time frame. We had only been assigned the case management conference for this coming week, or it was supposed to be yesterday actually. But the applicant withdrawn the appeal on the 25th of June, which was good news. So that means that the zoning decision that council made is final and binding, so the applicant can move on with his development. So other than that, does council have any questions on any part of the report or?
No. Okay, we're good. Thank you, Mel.
Thank you.
So we will continue on. 5.2 finances. There is, I think, none. 5.3 Public Works Department. 5.3.1 the Chair's Report, Public Works Advisory Committee. So the chair is Dave. So do you want to give your report?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, through you. So the meeting we had on, June 23rd. We reviewed the updated 10-year road plan and the process in which surface treatment rehabilitation is completed and the intervals in which it occurs. We discussed the benefits of sealing process and the state in which the roads needs to be at the time of rehabilitation. And we had some questions on the methods used to identify priority roads for the road plan. And the staff explained how they identify the priority. We also discussed the operational components to road maintenance, specifically sweeping the surface treated roadways, ensuring that the sand is removed from the sides and the road and the water can run off. And community members agreed that this process is detrimental to life expectancy of the roadway. We also discussed the upcoming road projects for summer of 2021 and the schedule for release of letters to residents that will be affected by the road work. Another topic was the speed radars, car counter. So we discussed the purchase of a radar speed sign, identification of the area in which to set up based on speed complaints. So basically, this is a sign that basically tells you what speed you're going and the speed limit, and it counts information. It doesn't take pictures, or you don't get a ticket from it per se, but if that's a problem area, it can be given, the OPP can work with us to more monitor problem areas, as we see with the information that we gather from this sign. One topic which I brought up at the round table was the ditches that we have that were done on the highway, and specifically right in town. I'm not very impressed with the way that those ditches look or function. So we had a discussion, and Martin had a meeting with MTO on site, and MTO is supposed to talk with the contractor and I guess get back to us. What else was there? We also discussed the installation of a light at the Noelville Waste Transfer Station. It's dark and it could be a safety issue, so that could be brought up maybe at another date. I think we also discussed the calcium application on the roads, timeline for completions, the benefits of calcium. And I think that's the major points for that meeting. It was a pretty good meeting, considering that we haven't had one in a while due to COVID. So that's pretty much all I have, except unless there's any questions.
Anybody have questions for Dave? Okay, seeing none, we will continue on to 5.3.2, which is a quarterly report from Martin.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As we can see from the Public Works quarterly report, I'm guessing everybody had a chance to take a look at it. Just go over a couple highlights over the last quarter. Vehicle breakdowns, we had a few, mainly our 1992 Champion grader. It's seen better days. It's when you're looking at a piece of equipment that's older than me, we can probably see the wear and tear over the course of the many years that we've used it. A couple other pieces of equipment, actually relatively good this quarter. Just the Champion is our main issue. As for other things, basically very relatively easy quarter, not too much going on, a couple of washouts here and there. A washout is just a bit of ground that's taken out by usually heavy rain and stuff. So not too much damage to our roads. Very, very straightforward. 73 calls, ranging from dust control, grading, general inquiries, road construction, stuff like that. And what else we got here? Many beavers this quarter. They're very active, so we got a bunch of them. And a couple key highlights from this quarter: we had our road rehabilitation. La Brosse Road was completed a couple weeks ago from French River Contracting. Our street sweeping was completed. Our calcium application, that's all done. That finished last week. And the single and double surface treatment was awarded, and I spoke with the contractors, and we're hoping to have that done by mid-August, late August. If there are any other questions?
Anybody have questions for Martin? Seeing none, I do. When I was looking at the 10-year road construction report, one road that I noticed is not on there is St. Antoine Street over here, which is pretty rough, if I don't say so myself, in some spots when you're coming around the corner. Is there a reason why it's not in there in the
Yeah.
next 10 years? I don't think it'll survive 10 years, but
No, I'm on the same page as you. I forgot to put an addendum in the report stating that all of the roads within the within Noelville, so Saint Antoine, Saint Christophe, Dollard, we're waiting on a potential grant for our sewer system. So I don't want to fix the top before we fix the bottom.
okay.
So hopefully within the next couple of years we can get something going, and then we'd be able to fix that up. But that's the main reason why it's not on the list.
Okay, so that's what I kind of figured. Another question is, because looking forward, we're gonna be talking about sidewalks. Do we not have sewers on the main streets where these sidewalks are? That are affected if we're redoing the sewers or fixing them?
Some yes, some no. So it all depends on the area.
Okay. Okay, seeing none, we'll continue on to 5.3.3. A resolution to adopt a bylaw to enter into an agreement with NTO for the maintenance and rehabilitation of sidewalks in the town of Noelville. So I need, is Martin, you gonna speak to this first, or do we want a mover and a seconder first, Mel?
You can allow the manager to speak first on the road.
Okay, go ahead, Martin.
So the background with our sidewalks is the MTO built the sidewalks in the 1970s, I believe. They've been there for a long time. And now that it's technically in the road allowance and the MTO turned it over to us to maintain, we're looking at doing work on it this year, and got a hold of the MTO, and they basically said that, hey, we need a permit to basically do stuff in the right of way. So the purpose of this is to have an open permit with the MTO, just stating that we can do work or maintenance on the sidewalks indefinitely. So the plan is to say, this is how many sidewalks we have, and we plan on doing work continuously on them, depending if they need work or not. So then they will agree to that, and then we don't have to go back and forth all the time. All we'd have to do is let them know what we're doing, but we don't have to go through this process every time. So the plan is this year to do about $30,000 worth of repairs, and primarily in front of Saint David, the church. That's the plan.
Okay, so I need a mover and a seconder. Counselor Randy, seconded by Counselor Dave.
Duly moved and seconded, be it resolved that bylaw 2021-42, being a bylaw to authorize an agreement with the Ministry of Transportation for the maintenance and rehabilitation of sidewalks, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
All in favor? Okay, we are good. 5.3.4, we have a resolution to authorize a funding application to the Canada Community Revitalization Fund for the rehabilitation of sidewalks in the town of Noel. Again, I believe Martin is going to speak to this. You're back.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah. So the background behind this motion is to apply for a grant that allows for, I believe it's 75% covered, up to, I think it's $750,000. And what that would basically allow us to do is redo the sidewalk network. And sorry, give me 1 second here. Yeah. So basically what that'll end up doing is just allow us to have a consistent sidewalk repairs done. I don't have the exact number in front of me. Oh, there it is. So looking at 25% of $750,000, it's basically $150,000, which is what we would do if we had our 5-year rehabilitation plan. So we can get it all done. The cost that it would take us 5 years for sections, we can get it all done in 1 year if that's what we get allowed to do through the grant.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Martin? I guess maybe, I have another question, maybe Mark can answer, or Martin, I'm not too sure. But so that 150,000 is over, would be our 30,000 over the next 5 years. If we were happen to get this grant, if we are successful, where would the 150 come out of our reserves? And are we still spending 30,000 on the sidewalks, even though we are applying for this? Should we wait off spending that 30,000? Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Through you, Madam Chair. Yeah, good question. So basically what we're trying to do is trying to take advantage of funding opportunities to be able to fast track our rehabilitation plan, the 5-year plan, and complete it into one project either this year or next year. So basically the 150, we're looking at a contribution from the municipality of 37,500. We had originally budgeted 30,000. So we're looking at a shortfall of 7,500. So if we do part of the work this year and part of the work next year, we can manage that very easily within our budgetary requirements.
Okay, thank you. And so
we're using a grant, and then we're trying to make the eligibility to be, we're trying to provide better accessibility, better walking opportunities outside because of COVID, and better exercising opportunities in a safe environment as our goal to be able to do all of the sidewalks in one shot.
okay, good. Our sidewalks do need it. They are bad.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're kind of lucky. So anybody else have any questions for Martin? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Martin. We'll continue on. 5.4 environmental services. 5.4.1 the chair's report. The environmental advisory committee. Oh, sorry. I need a resolution. I need a mover, Dave, and a seconder, Councillor Dean.
So it's duly moved and seconded. Be resolved that council directs staff to submit a funding application to the Canada Community Revitalization Fund for the rehabilitation of municipal sidewalks located within Noelville for an amount of 150,000.
All in favor? Okay, we'll continue on now.
Thank you.
So the chair report for the environmental services, 5.4.1. Councillor Randy.
Through you, Madam Chair, thank you very much. So on June 22nd, the Environmental Committee met, and basically we discussed the resolutions that were brought to council as far as modernizing the waste system, changing the bin sites. So we discussed what council had approved and where we were moving forward and so forth. Also, we discussed the RFP that was being prepared for recycling in the community. And basically, we looked at the routes that were being considered in the RFP, should the applicant choose to accept an RFP, and where we would like to see the best use of that test to see if we could sustain recycling in the community by curbside pickup. So generally, everybody was satisfied with the direction that the council is taking now, and the committee's on board. And also we discussed the communication plan to the public, and that we need a very clear communication plan so that nobody's caught off guard or surprised about the upcoming changes and how they're going to be implemented. Mayor Pajot made several comments during the meeting that she was a strong proponent of communicating and how we were going to communicate. So I believe that in addition to the municipal website being updated to show these changes, the tax bill will have a mail out with it that explains fully the upcoming changes to the waste management system and the recycling should we move in that direction.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Perhaps just another suggestion, because some of the people using the landfills or the bins are people who rent apartments in town. So I don't, like, they wouldn't be getting noticed through the tax bill, maybe leaving some flyers or something at different locations within the community so that they could see them. I know the post office is always in the library, or, you know, maybe that'd be something to add for those renters in case they don't have communication. So
Sure.
thank you very much for your report.
Thank you.
5.4.2, a resolution to direct staff on the option of curbside recycling pilot project. And I believe Bob, Director of Operations, will speak to this.
Good evening, Council. So you have a report, basically what the Environmental Committee came up with for curbside recycling. We've put together 3 options. Option 1 would be the urban areas of Noel and Alban, and including the Whistler Bay area. Option 2 would be, again, the urban areas of Whistler Bay and the connecting roads close to Noel. So Huelguere in the general area of Noel, Mailly-Pilon. Option 3 would be the combination of option 1, option 2, and adding the high density areas in the Alban area. So tonight we're asking council for direction on which option they would like us to put out in the RFP. Or there's more to add to it or subtract it.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Councillor Randy?
Yeah, it's you, Madam Chair. Thank you. So I just wanted to further on my earlier report in this RFP. So the Environmental Committee, when we looked at this, we generally felt that we wanted to stick to the higher density population. The more we spread out into the low number housing for this test, which is what this is a trial run. So we're asking a provider to come out and pick up recycling and to see if we can improve the quality of what's being recycled and the education to people, because they will be items that they're left that are in the bins that aren't recyclable will be then left for the customer to take back into the house and dispose of alternatively. And they'll be educated that way that they're not recycling correctly. So as this is just a test, we were trying to hit a certain number of high density areas, keep the cost low, because if there's no buy-in from the public, you know, which there shouldn't be an issue of anyways, but we're not looking to cover at this point the entire municipality. So just for council's knowledge, we generally felt at the Environmental Committee just sticking to the high density areas for the time being.
Okay. Councillor Dave?
I agree with Randy's statement or comment. I think just in Noelville, maybe where the 60 starts all over, something like that. And Alban, same thing, where the 70 starts, something like that. Stay off. Even the connecting roads where it's 80. I think I'd leave that out for now, just as see how that goes, and maybe it's a little bit safer to stay off the highway where it's 80 kilometers an hour to have the truck stop at every house for now, and just keep it in the urban areas.
So Councillor Dean?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I tend to agree basically with Councillor Hazlett and Councillor Dave. But I would wonder if it would hurt to, when the RFPs went out, to if we had it for option 1, but just get an idea of what the costs might be on the other options by someone that wanted to quote on that RFP. Just if no other reason, just see what the additional cost might be if we were to entertain it. But I guess what I'm thinking is that the committee was really looking at option 1. That is no doubt about that. But it seemed like kind of a good idea just to get an idea of what it might cost if we were to expand this thing.
So I'll also think, like you, Dean, that option 1 to start, and maybe if we are able to, is get a quote for, adding the second part or the third part. I don't know if that's possible, Bob.
We can certainly award it that we can expand on it at a later date.
So we need a mover and a seconder for the resolution. We have 3 different recommendations here. Are we, Councillor Dave, mover?
Oh,
Or
sorry,
question.
just another comment on after.
Okay.
Just to add to what you said, maybe we can, I don't know if we can add in the contract saying that we want to do urban areas and possibly expand to certain roads and have it in the contract. Depending on cost, we might do it, or we might just stick with the urban areas, if that's a possibility.
Mark, go ahead.
If I'm understanding the direction from council, you're looking at maybe we should include all 3 options within the RFP and get costing on all 3, then we can decide going forward of the direction that the committee and council wish to go. Is that what I'm hearing?
Probably the
That is-
best remark.
Yeah. Councillor Dean?
I'm just concerned, Mark, that if we go that route in that manner, that the cost per household in the RFP may come way down if they're quoting on the 3, the cost per, as opposed to just option 1. Whether we would, I'm not sure whether we get a confusing cost estimate or then get confused as to how to proceed with it after we had it, if we asked them to quote on all 3 of them. But it would address what I was thinking about in the first place, is that option 1 is firm, but the other 2 might be considered if the cost was there.
Yes, Mark?
Yeah, and very good point through you, Madam Chair, brought up by Dean. The scale of the amount of households you have will definitely have an effect on the price, because if they're traveling here only picking up 200 households compared to 500 households, there may be a cost benefit that way. I think if we word it in a fashion that we're prepared to go ahead with option 1, but we're prepared to consider option 2 and option 3, depending on what the cost implications may be.
Well said. Good.
Okay. Mayor Pajot?
I think we have to remember what the committee said. They wanted to start this as an experiment with a limited amount of households. And if we're starting to get into so much of this with of course, the cost is going to be a lot cheaper if you have 300 household versus 1,000 household. That's not rocket science. I think the idea is we want this project to succeed. And in order for it to succeed, you start small, because this is going to blow the community right to hell, once they realize this is coming. And to start and to promise something to a contractor that may or will likely not happen right away, I think is unfair to the contractor as well. So I think council needs to say, okay, do we want option 1 and just start with that and see how it goes? And then if it goes well, then we expand. But to put it in the contract and to base it solely on cost, then you might as well do option 3, because the cost will be cheaper per household if you're doing this. And the success of it is what I'm concerned about. And so the committee had discussed it quite thoroughly, and it was option 1 that they seemed to be recommending. But again, that's my opinion.
I agree, Dean here.
So Bob, you're pretty quiet. No comments from you? Bob Prevost?
Well, at the committee, we sided with option 1, and I still think that's to start off with, like Mayor Pajot stated, start off small, get the feel for it, and get it accepted. I think that's the best way to go. Let's start with our 2 small urban centers and go that way.
Okay, Counselor Dave?
I agree with this starting small, but I would still like to see a costing on every option. Just maybe it could be a benefit, maybe not. Maybe we don't have to vote maybe solely on cost of it, but that could be one of the factors that we can vote on, I think.
Okay, so I think, oh, yes, Mayor Pajot?
Tonight, we're deciding which option we're taking, right? So
Well,
it's
yeah.
either
let's
option
recommend-
one, period. And that's what we're voting on, whether it's option one or option 1 and 2 or option 3 or whatever. But, you know, to get I just don't want to have any illusion that all of a sudden we make a decision tonight that it's option 1, but because the cost is sweeter per household, so let's go big. I think that the success of the program will be in jeopardy if we start too big because the cost is cheaper. So I just want to caution everybody that if we want this to succeed, you start small and then you move, and then we can still, Dave, we can still get costs. There's nothing stopping us to see, you know, a month down the line, if it's going well, to contact the contractor and see, you know, how much it would be to expand to option 2, you know, and expand as we grow with the program. But I want people to be realistic about this. So if you're looking for costs to do it cheaper, then yeah, just say, let's do option 3 because it'll be a lot cheaper. So per household. So council has to decide which option we're doing tonight.
Counselor Dean?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to hear the CAO's opinion on this. He said what could be done, but what is your opinion, Mark?
Well, you can think of it all kinds of ways. You know, option 1, absolutely, but there's nothing wrong with trying to get additional information at the same time. So, you know, council is directing us on option 1 with requesting that we get additional potential information within a procurement purchase. But the contract itself, when it is awarded, council will decide whether it's only option 1 moving forward, but you will have all the information necessary to make the appropriate decision. I'm not saying that you're going to go big or go small. I'm just saying that for us to provide you with the accurate information, we need some of those details. In terms of, if you wish, you know, and certainly Marc Fleury and I and Bob and Martin can work out on the wording in terms of saying that definitely pricing for phase 1 to begin with, and at least we have the proper pricing should we wish to expand in the future, and that option's already gone through the tendering and procurement process, so we don't have to start over again.
Thank
So
you.
the one, maybe one question I have, I'm happy with starting with number 1. I kind of would like to know the prices of second, third, but as Giselle, I do agree that we will get a better price if we're asking for, you know, option number 3. Everybody knows that. But either way, we're not making a decision on this tonight because once we get quotes coming back to us is where we'll make the final decision, I believe. One thing is this for a 1-year quote we're looking for? Or are we looking, is this like pilot project for 1 year? Is that the kind of quote we're asking them to provide us with? Or like it won't be a 6-month contract, it'll be a 1-year contract or a 3-year contract? Have we discussed any of that? Because I'm sure that'll be in the make a decision impact also if they're 1 year versus 3 years or 5 years. Bob?
Well, most of our contracts that we give out, we do for 1 year and then the option out the second year or third year.
Okay. So. Okay, Dean?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we need to remember that what we were looking for with this whole idea was a reaction from the public. Number one, how are they going to react? Would they be ready to do the kind of recycling that we're interested in having them do more carefully? And then the other side of the coin, we were looking to see if that was really going to help us at the landfill. I mean, those are the two aspects of doing this door-to-door recycling as opposed to having them using the bins. So I guess that's number one. And 1 year for sure would require to get that. And we, by the end of a year, we'd certainly know how the public thinks of what we're doing and give us a better position to look at what we might do after year 2 and year 3. And remember, that's the next council also when we get to those things. But in any event, that was the original thinking of the committee, was let's get a reaction from the public and let's see if it helps us with this recycling issue.
Okay, so I think it seems pretty fair to say that everybody wants to know what the step 1 will be. I know we're curious, we want to know how much it'd be for step 2 and step 3, but let's all aim for step 1 and get quotes on that right away. And then maybe once the quotes come back, you know, and we see the price, maybe at that point we can discuss maybe adding more routes. Does that sound fair or not? Councillor Peugeot, Mayor Peugeot? Councillor Mayor?
Listen, you know, I've heard, you know, everybody, and I think we're basically saying just about the same thing. So tonight we vote on option 1 for sure. That's going to go through. And Mark, as you said, in order for us not to be able to have to retender, if the RFP says that there's a possibility of option 2 and 3 further down the line, but I don't want to make any illusions that you know, we're going to option 3 right away. So tonight, and I want to be clear what we vote on it tonight, or we don't vote on anything until the prices come in. But if you don't want this to delay anymore, my suggestion is we put a motion for option 1. However you quote that RFP is, I don't have a problem with that. But for tonight and for the purpose of this experiment and for testing the public, that we're doing option 1. I just want to be so clear on that, if that's what we want.
I agree.
Okay, Mel?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I just want to clarify. So tonight's direction to staff is only to direct staff to go out for tender, to release the tender document. We're not directing staff on which option to choose at all. Tonight is just to release the request for tender, or to release the request for proposal for pricing. So council needs to decide, are you directing staff to go for to just get pricing for option 1, or for option 1 and 2, or for option 1, 2, and 3? And then once the request for proposals are received, then council is going to direct staff on which options you want to move forward with the contract. Am I okay with that, Bob?
Yeah.
Or is that?
Yeah.
As
That is
clarify what
clear.
it is.
Yeah. What do we want staff to do? We want them to send out. Councillor Dean? You have your hand up? Or no? Go ahead, Dee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm having a little problem with my reception here, but I agree with what Mark said. The way I let staff do those RFPs. I think that they were on the right track. They know that we're interested in option 1 for sure, and see what happens with the other ones.
Okay. Councillor Dave?
I agree with Dean.
Randy?
I agree with Dean.
Bob?
Make it unanimous.
Okay, Giselle? Okay. Are you good, Mel? Do you need a mover and a seconder?
Yes.
Okay, I need a mover and a seconder. Randy, and seconded by Dave.
Okay. So it is duly moved duly moved and seconded. Be resolved that the council directs staff to release the request for proposal for curbside recycling services based on option 1, so urban areas in Whistler Bay, and option 2 for the connecting roads, and option 3, the high density areas on routes, as reported July 7th, 2021.
Okay, all in favor?
Is that clear? Is that okay?
All in favor? Okay, we are good. We will continue on. Thank you, Bob. 5.5, Recreation and Community Services Quarterly Report.
Yes, I can't look my report, but was not much activity in the last quarter from parks due to COVID. Our biggest users was the hall in Alban for the COVID vaccinations. So I don't know if you have any questions on that.
Just when the movie producers rent out is there an income that or a kickback of something that comes back when they're using the driveway, or?
They paid us $1,000 to use the parking lot of the arena.
Okay. And that goes into Parks and Rec, I imagine? Into
That would be a Mark question.
Mark question?
It's a municipal revenue, but directed towards the parks budget.
Oh, good. Anybody else have questions? Seeing none, we will move on. Emergency and Protection Services, quarterly report by our fire chief, Rock.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to go through the highlights of my quarterly report. For emergencies, fire responded to 25 emergencies. 18 of those were just in the month of June, so that we were very busy before the fire ban was implemented. Burning permits, 66 permits were sold. Inspections and public education, we had 5. Training, most training was done online, 6 of them, and 8 in total. Equipment check, we're at 6. Agreements, we had nil. Recruitment and retention, no new recruits. Update with the fire department. This month, we have returned to in-person training, which is good for all our firefighters. They're extremely happy to get back and working together and being together. Also in May, I hired our new assistant chief, Mike Higgins. He started May 13th, the day after my son was born on May 12th. He kind of helped me out in tough times. One fine was issued also for burning during the fire ban. And we also put our new battery operated extrication tools in service June 24th. And we also receive a training from the company on how to utilize those tools and how to take cars apart properly. Any questions?
Seeing no questions, we will continue on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rock. So 5.6.2, we have a resolution to adopt a bylaw to enter into a town service agreement with North Bay and District Humane Society. Does everybody had a chance to read it over? I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Dean and Councillor Bob.
Duly moved and seconded, be it resolved that bylaw 2021-43, being a bylaw to authorize an agreement with North Bay and District Humane Society for pound services, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
All in favor?
I'd like to discuss the motion, please, before we vote.
Oh, sorry.
That was my hand up to discuss. Sorry.
Oh, then sorry, Randy, I missed that. Okay,
I was on mute. I couldn't speak up fast enough. My question regarding the motion is North Bay is obviously a 2-hour trip from our municipality, and during that time, Bob will probably speak or somebody. The municipal employee, I'm assuming, has to escort the animal to North Bay.
Yes, that's correct. Through you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So we're tying up the significant resources traveling 2 hours away when we could probably enter some kind of an agreement with Sudbury instead, I would think, and travel an hour away, tying up our employees less, and probably receive the same service. Could we not?
Yes, but when we did approach Sudbury at the time, they wanted us to participate in building the new dog pound shelter for 1 to 2 dogs a year.
Sure.
That we bring to the shelter. I don't think it's cost effective for us at this point. In the past, we did have an agreement with the municipality of St. Charles, which operated a dog pound. That has since been disbanded and set aside. The only other available pound is a private pound. Sorry, we in the Azilda outskirts. It's almost the same type of travel time that we would incur going that way or going to North Bay. But at least in North Bay, we're dealing with a Humane Society, non-for-profit organization.
How about Perry Sound? It's also a 1 hour travel time. Has that been given consideration?
I haven't looked down south at that area.
Maybe we should perhaps, I know I personally would like to ask the staff to maybe check downtown or down in Perry Sound first before we authorize this deal, because there may be an unconsidered option here with less travel and less employee tie-up time.
So I know
Council decision at this point, but we've been dealing with the North Bay Humane Society for before my time, if I'm not mistaken, Melanie. Eh?
Yeah. Yes, that's correct.
Well, even if we delayed for 2 weeks, where we made a phone call down to Perry Sound and find out if it's possible. I apologize for the noise.
Councillor Dave, did you have a comment?
Yeah, just I don't think we're saving any time going to Perry Sound versus North Bay. I don't know if there's a significant cost savings if we go there, but the travel time from Noelville is I think maybe shorter or very close to the same from North Bay to Perry Sound.
I agree, Dave.
And if I may, Madam Chair, I travel from Noelville to North Bay once in a while for meetings. It's about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
At most, which is about the same amount of time required to go to the Perry Sound area. We can certainly make the inquiry, but we have a good relationship with the North Bay Humane Society at this point, and we're just trying to put in writing what we've been doing with them for the past 3 years out of courtesy. And for the $100 they charge us for the 1, 2, or 3 animals we bring a year, I think is very very reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure we were considering all options. I withdraw.
So we have a motion, resolution ready, Mel?
Yes. Yeah, so it's been read, it's been moved and seconded.
Okay, so all in favor? Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, so we now have 5.7 building and planning and development report, which we don't have one, but Mel kind of gave us a little scoop a while ago of what's going on in the area. So other than that, there's no reports. 6 correspondence. Don't believe we've received an email, have we?
No.
No. Okay. Section 7, the consent agenda. Have we all had, I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Randy, seconded by Councillor Bob.
It is duly moved and seconded. Rosalie Council approves the items in the consent agenda under section 7.1 and receives the items under 7.2.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, 8 items separated from the consent agenda. There was none. No notice of motions. Any announcements? Does anybody have any announcements or? Seeing none. No closed sessions. And I guess we need a motion to adjourn, a resolution to adopt the confirmation bylaw. Councillor Dave and Councillor Randy.
Duly moved and seconded, be it resolved that bylaw 2021-44, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Municipality of French River at a meeting held July 7th, be read first, second, and third time and finally passed.
All in favor? Okay, well, thank you very much for joining in, and we don't have a meeting till the third week in August, I believe. Mel, am I correct?
You're correct. So August 18th will be our next meeting.
Okay, so have a safe month off and
You do have
enjoy.
to close the
Hopefully,
meeting.
we do have to close the meeting. So I need a mover and a seconder to close the meeting. Counselor Randy and Counselor Dave.
Now it's official.
Okay, now it's official. Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.